In July 2018, archaeologists announced to the world that they had found something, and it looked super cool. Straight out of a Tom Cruise Hollywood action-adventure movie, they unveiled a massive 30-ton, black granite sarcophagus. They had found the harbinger of certain doom on a building site in the city of Alexandria. Initial investigations had everyone on the edge of their seat when it was dated to the time of Alexander the Great. Was this finally the resting place of the big guy himself? We refer you to our video, Where the Heck is Alexander the Great's Body? Adding credence to that belief was that this stone coffin was the largest one ever found in the city. The internet went into overdrive, with people suggesting it was cursed, that opening it could lead to the end of the world, or our favorite, that the massive 8.5 by 5 foot tomb contained a super mummy. However, when they finally managed to crack the coffin, they were greeted with such a stench they had to flee from the site, calling for backup in the form of the Egyptian Army Engineer Corps. They finally managed to open the giant container, and what they found horrified the world. No, we are just kidding, there were no magical explosions, the sudden appearance of a dark cloud signaling the birth of the Antichrist, and no unworldly screaming, because inside were 3 normal human skeletons, floating in a soup of rather rancid red liquid. It wasn't Alexander the Great, sadly. The internet paused in frustration. Like most Tom Cruise films, this one had also failed to deliver a solid ending. So it decided to make one. As far as the internet was concerned, the liquid was clearly magical, and so a petition was started to let people drink the red juice from the sarcophagus so that they could assume its powers. As of today, 36,753 people have signed this petition. When this insanity finally came to an end and all the weirdos were quiet, researchers started to reveal the initial results of their scientific analysis. An initial inspection had concluded that all the bodies in the sarcophagus were soldiers, as one clearly had what looked like an arrow hole. They also believed that the lid had not been opened for almost 2,000 years, signaling that it had not been plundered, a very unusual occurrence for Egypt. To top it all, a large crudely carved alabaster head was discovered in the same tomb. It is believed to represent at least one of those buried inside. Zainab Hashish, director of the Department of Skeleton Remains Studies at the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities, analyzed the skulls, pelvises and other bones in more detail and concluded that the bodies included 1 woman and 2 men who appear to have been deposited at different times and stacked on top of one another. This conclusion meant that the other 2 men were obviously not soldiers. The age for the woman was between 20 and 25, for one of the men, between 35 and 39, and the other man, between 40 and 44. That last skeleton added to the coffin had a hole in its skull, which healed long before the man died. This indicated that he had undergone a trepanation procedure. This is one of the older medical procedures known to history but was extremely rare to Egypt. The remains are believed to date either to Egypt's Ptolemaic period, 332 to 30 BC, when it was ruled by the Greek dynasty, or the Roman period, when it was under the control of that empire, from 30 BC to 642 AD. Trepanation was a surgical procedure practiced throughout the ancient world, from South America to Africa and Asia, and it continued being practiced into the 16th century in some places. The surgery involved cutting a hole into the skull to relieve headaches, swelling of the brain and hypertension. There are only a handful of examples from Egypt, which makes this find special, although it's impossible to know why this person had it done. But it wasn't all bones. A small gold artifact and 3 thin sheets of gold, each square embossed with an image, was also found. One researcher believes that the images may represent the seed pod of an opium poppy inside a shrine, which may have associations with death, sleep and rebirth. Another shows an unhooded snake with its mouth open, which could be a symbol of the goddess Isis and represent rebirth. Jewelry with a snake on it was consistently associated with females and backed up the findings of Zainab. The third gold panel shows either a palm branch or a stalk of grain, both of which are related to fertility and rebirth. The researchers also offered their findings on the delightful red liquid found in the sarcophagus, confirming that it is likely sewage water that infiltrated the coffin through a crack and mixed with decomposed mummy wrappings, though they are going to conduct further testing on the stuff to figure out exactly what it's made of. Perhaps we should send it out to the 36,753 people who begged to have a sip. The researchers plan to keep testing the bones, including using DNA tests to figure out whether the people inside the sarcophagus were related. They will also use CT scans to learn more about the bones themselves. But the question that everyone is wanting to know, why use this massive black sarcophagus? What is the symbolism behind it, and will we ever know? I was the first to put my whole head inside the sarcophagus, and here I stand before you. I am fine, Mostafa Waziri, Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, told reporters after opening it in July. We've opened it and, thank God, the world has not fallen into darkness. That's good news. We hope you have enjoyed this quick look at this very interesting little find. Please drop a like and subscribe. We need your support.